Hey guitar playing champions, today you learned some easy ways to play an odd meter with some very cool guitar chords. So if you've ever struggled to play guitar in odd meter or write songs in odd meter, or you're just looking for more ideas and ways to play an odd meter, then you're watching the right video. When I first learned about odd meter, I thought the sound was very cool. It was just awesome. But whenever I tried to play anything that wasn't in 4/4 time, I'd get all confused. And I hated trying to count out all the notes as I played because at that time, counting in 5/8 or 7/8 or 11/8 was not easy at first. Then I learned some great little tricks to play an odd meter that made the counting much more simple and easier. The best part is I learned how to quickly write my own songs in odd meter using this little technique. For our first example, I'm going to play an E major 7th chord, and it's going to look like this. And all you have to do is, once you make the chord with your fretting hand, then we're going to start on string 6 and just pick that way, pick down 5 strings. So you're just going to stop when you get to the 2nd string. And then for the second measure, as you see, we'll start on string 5 and pick all the way to string 1. Okay, here's what it sounds like. Cool, so it's very, very simple. You're playing now in 5/8 time, but it doesn't feel weird because we're just going 5 strings in a row. It makes 5/8 a lot easier than thinking it's 4/4 but one extra note or something like that. It's pretty simple if you just go 5 strings in a row. It's very simple. All right, so for example 2, I'm going to show you a really cool set of chords here. The first one is an E add 9 chord. It's just like this E chord, except this note, E, goes up 2 frets to F sharp. Play it with your little finger. It sounds like this. Awesome sounding chord. So all we do in measure number 1, you start on string 6 and you pick until you get to string 2. Stop there, and then for the second measure, you do the same thing, but instead of hitting string 2, you skip that one and go to string number 1. So altogether it's... Okay, and then we move to the second chord, starting on measure 3. This is an A add 9 chord, just like an A chord, except that the A note goes up to a B note, and it looks like this. So the picking pattern, we're going to start on string 5, pick until we get to string number 2, and then just go back to string 3. And then, the last measure, start on string 5 and go all the way to string 1. All right, so let's hear it with the track and see how this sounds. Before we go any further, if you're looking for some really simple chords that sound really awesome when you use voice leading, check out my video called Simple Chords That Sound Awesome with Voice Leading. You'll get a lot of cool ideas on very basic chords that sound quite sophisticated and just sound awesome. Here's example number 3. All right, so that one is really cool. It starts off with a C sharp minor 7th chord. It just looks like a power chord here on the 4th fret of starting on string 5, and we do this. So the top 2 strings are open, and we pick from the 5th string to the 1st string, and then back to the 3rd string. So you can think of it this way. If you start on string 5 and pick the string number 2, we've got 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you go to the high E string and come back 3 notes, 3 strings. 1, 2, 3. So that makes 4 plus 3, or 3 plus 2 plus 2, however you want to count it, equals 7. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then for the next chord, we're going to take the first finger off and let that string be open. So we've got open A, and then we're going to put that first finger on string number 2, 4th fret. So it's moving from string 5 to string 2, still the same fret, and we have now a 7/8 measure here. Cool, very cool sounding chord. So we've got an A, and then we've got a G sharp, and then we've got a C sharp, and then we've got D sharp, and then we've got E. And then when it repeats, the first finger comes back over here to string 5. And then measure 3 goes like this, first finger here. So we've got a group of 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go to the high E string and come back this way 3 notes, 1, 2, 3. So that gives us our 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You could just think of it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Then we've got a new chord here. Same thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Go to the high E string, 1, 2, 3. So that gives us our 7/8 measure there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then back to this one. It just really, really sounds cool. You're playing some really lush chords in beautiful 7/8 odd meter. It just sounds so cool. If you really like this odd meter stuff, I've got another video on YouTube on polyrhythm, which is not the same thing as odd meter, although it can involve odd meter. And the video is called Polyrhythm, How to Play 3 Against 4, 5 Against 4, 6 Against 4, 10 Against 4, etc. You might like that video. It's really cool. Check it out. Here's example number 4. So this example is really cool because we're using not only an odd meter when we do the 7/8 time in measures 2 and 4, but we're also using 3/4, which 3 technically is an odd number, but at 3/4 is not really considered odd meter. I suppose it is odd in a sense, but it's not really. When people talk about odd meter, they don't really think about 3/4. But what is cool, what's going on here is we're using something called mixed meter. So that's when you're alternating between 2 meters, or could be more than 2. But in this case, the feeling is you got these 3 quarter notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and. So you got 1 and 2 and 3 and. You hear and feel 3 beats. But then we go to the next chord, we've got 7/8 time, and it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But really, when you feel that, it kind of feels more like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's a 3/4 measure. You can count it 1 and 2 and 3 and. But if you just want to feel where the beats are coming in, where the accents are, you can count it just as 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, I perfectly understand that's not the usual or normal way that we would count 3/4 time, but I'm suggesting you to do it that way just so that you really feel accents on the ones. 1 and 1 and 1 and, or 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it will help you if you pick the notes a little harder on the ones. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you get to the 7/8 measure, this one, it almost feels like you're in suspended animation a little bit rhythmically, because when the 3/4 measure occurs, it's pretty regular, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Those are the pulses that you feel. And then when the 7/8 measure comes, you feel the first pulse, 1, and then it's 2, 3. So you're waiting a longer period before you get the next accent. And then when you get that accent here, you have to wait even longer before you get the next accent in measure 3. So it makes for a really cool feel. This is called mixed meter, 3/4 and 7/8 in this particular example. All right, now let's talk about how do you practice this stuff? How do you practice odd meter, playing guitar in odd meter? You can even, write in odd meter. So the first thing that I would suggest is to keep things simple, to keep it easy. There's a couple of different suggestions. One, you can create some easy picking patterns, as I did here in these examples, where the picking pattern kind of outlines the 5/8 or the 7/8 or whatever it is. So that's the first suggestion. The second suggestion is to take larger measures like 7/8 or 11/8 or 5/8 and break them down into groups of 2 and 3, or sometimes 2, 3, and 4, or whatever, however you can break them down based on where the accents are. And for now, count them in those small little groups. So 5/8 is often counted 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, or the reverse, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now, could you count it as 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3? Yes, you can. It's just a little harder when you're first learning it to remember where the accents fall. In that example, 1 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Isn't it easier to just say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3? You'll line up your ones on the accents. So every time you say 1, that's an accent. So when you take a 7/8 or 9/8 or 11/8 or 15/8 or anything that's crazy long, and you could just identify where are the accents going to be, or where do I want them to be, and just count, just make that 1 and count it from there. So you could have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, or whatever it is that you want. So those are some good ways to play an odd meter and not get confused by the counting and trying to put an accent on 6 and another accent on 9 or something like that. You can do that later, but to get started, just line up accents with the number 1, and that will help you a lot. If you like my videos on YouTube, you'll love my personalized breakthrough guitar lessons. I'm going to show you exactly how to transform your guitar playing from being just okay to being really awesome, even if you're stuck right now or you've been having some self-doubts about yourself as a guitar player or your ability to learn and advance and improve. Imagine how much better your guitar playing will be when you know exactly what to do, exactly how to practice, and have the guidance and roadmap to get you there. I've done this for thousands of people over the years. If you do the work, if you practice at least 30 minutes a day with the stuff I teach you, I'm absolutely certain I can help you become the guitar player that you want to be. Unlike other lessons on the internet, you're not going to get some generic cookie cutter lessons from me. You get lessons customized to you, who you are, what your goals are, your challenges, your strengths, your weaknesses, your learning style, experience, frustrations, and most importantly, who you want to become as a guitar player. So check out my breakthrough guitar lessons at tomhess.net/guitar and see if they're right for you. I'll see you on the other side.